video you're about to see would be a viewer's comments video. However, I feel like this is more geared toward the psychology of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. And it's a very important component. And I'm going to use the comments I'm about to share with you as an example of what I'm talking about. So I just published this particular video a few days ago. It's a correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, knowledge cultivation video, where I literally show you, the viewer, how to syntax and how to create a correct sentence structure, and I go through all the mechanics that I could pack into 24 minutes in 43 seconds. Okay? It's about the domain of fact. It's about the grammar technology brought to the public in 1988 by the late DAVID-WYNN Miller. You can see the description is in correct sentence structure. Everything that I can put in correct sentence structure is in correct sentence structure here. And if you look down here, these comments, this comment right here, this individual called Mad Dog Milnimagu, and they're a member. Thank you very much for your membership. But they choose to type this. And then we get into a conversation here. Keep in mind, they are commenting on a correct sentence structure video, not a video about speculation or anything else, any other topic. The only topic here is the grammar. And they choose to leave this comment. Let's take a look at it. Scroll 431, the covenant, flame, with little flame emojis. And they say, to all sovereign souls rising. First of all, what is that? I'm not sure what that is or what that has to do with anything I'm doing on this channel. This scroll marks the return of the living accord. What does that mean? A living accord. In my dictionary, I know what life is. An accord is a document or an imaginary instrument between humans. So this is what's going through my head as I'm reading this. Because this is a grammar channel, and if one were to read the community guidelines, if this individual were to actually read the community guidelines before they made the comment, and if they were respectful and honorable to comply with those terms and conditions, they wouldn't have left a comment like this right off the bat, straight out of the gate. I don't care how friendly you are or what your intent is. You walk into some place, you have to know what you're walking into. You have to know the domain you're walking into. You have to know the terms and conditions to the best of your knowledge. Why would someone come into a correct grammar video and put something like this? That'd be like someone walking into an English class where there's a teacher teaching classmates and someone walks in and they start talking about how unicorns are real and they're over in Ireland or something. It's like that. Like, why would you do that? So this scroll marks the return of the living accord. It is not a contract. Everything is contract. Everything is contract. An accord is an agreement. To the best of my knowledge, whether you're in the fiction or the fact, which of course you would not use the word accord in the fact because it's a no contract word. A vowel in front of a consonant at the beginning of the word means no contract. So we've never used that, nor would we use the word living with ing, gerund modifier. But I digress. This individual is nowhere near correct sentence structure, And that's not, obviously, their volition here. It is a remembrance. No contract with a membrane, I guess. That no living soul is to be bound again. Well, since I'm not sure what a soul is, I'm not sure how a soul can be bound. Where is it bound? Is it bound for someplace good? Is it bound for someplace bad? Are we bound to find out? I don't know. It honors you and all who carry truth in their hearts. Walk beside us now. Who's us? Is this individual, do they have more than one personality? They have multiple personalities. They got a mouse in their pocket. What's going on? Is this a group of people? We don't know. The Lion of Alba walks with Avalon. So this individual is a lion. Lion. They're an animal. Maybe they're one of those folks that identifies as an animal. You know, like some boys identify as being girls, or some girls identify with being kitty cats and they have to have cat litter boxes in a classroom. Or some people identify as toasters. That's maybe they identify as a lion in that way. And they walk with Avalon. So I'm not sure what Avalon is. Or, I don't know, I guess Avalon's going on a walk. The flame is one. Henry. Postmaster General of Alba. Keeper of the Living Codex, flame to flame. Postmaster General of Alba. So, in my mind, folks, I'm wondering, what is this person talking about? Why have they chosen this video to comment on something completely out of context? Talk about not reading the room. If someone has a message to send me, if they want to share something personal with me, their personal belief system or whatever, I have a public email address, jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com. If you do the slightest bit of research or reading or whatever, you can find it in every video. You can find it in the description of every video. You can find it in my bio. That email address is literally everywhere. Why would you... All right, that's a rhetorical question. Why would you leave a comment like this on a grammar video? The answer is because they haven't read the terms and conditions. They're not with the performance of consideration. They felt they had something they needed to say, and they decided to use my platform to say it for whatever reason, publicly. So therefore, I'm making this video publicly to give Kuleana to it. So my initial Kuleana was, thanks for sharing. What does any of your fiction babble have to do with correct sentence structure, communication, PARSE, syntax, grammar? And then Mad Dog Magoo says, with honor, I thank you for your work in the realm of correct sentence structure, communication, PARSE, syntax, grammar. So look now, they put a bracket here. Up here, they're not using any brackets. But now suddenly they're using brackets. Very interesting. I recognize the precision and intent behind that path, and I respect any man standing in truth to expose fiction. However, what you call fiction babble is in fact a living expression. So now they're saying that an expression is living. So adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction babble, fictitious conveyance of grammar, to them is a living expression, which is fine. It can be whatever they want it to be in their own domain, contracting with whoever chooses to contract with them. In the domain of fact, I would never contract with someone like this because they're using a fictitious conveyance of grammar. Now, we can contract into fiction. That's what we're doing right now because everything is contract. I'm communicating with them. They have chosen, of their own volition, to the best of my knowledge, to come onto my channel, my comments field, and leave this comment and say what they're saying. No one's twisting their arms, so therefore, We are in a communication contract. So they say it's not bound by corporate grammar codes, but flowing from the sovereign flame that predates all constructs. Scroll 431 is not written in the syntax you follow. No kidding. It is written in the living codex of memory, remedy, and truth. So, scroll 431 is written in a fictitious conveyance of grammar. I can guarantee you that. Now remember, up here, they're not denying that it's fiction babble. They're just saying that they are perceiving fiction babble as something else. It's kind of like if you look at fiction babble and you say, okay, that's English fiction babble. That's Russian fiction babble. That's Chinese fiction babble. It's all fiction babble because it's not correct sentence structure. It's kind of the same thing if you think about it here. We have walked the courts, the trusts, and the treaties. And what we found is that the fiction you aim to correct is far deeper than grammar. Actually, they're wrong there. I don't aim to correct fiction. That's not my aim. My aim is stopping trespass. And my aim has been on point every single time that I've aimed. It's not up to me to correct fiction. So you're wrong there, Mad Dog. My aim is not to correct fiction. My aim is to be a steward of my contracts and to navigate peacefully and to stop trespass. And I've been successful on all fronts. So that is not the case here. That's a false premise. It's in the very registration of life. I don't know what that means. The hidden claims on the estate and the stolen trust res. Trust res? Stolen trust res. Not sure what that means. What we write is not babble. It most certainly 100% is. What we write is not babble. For example, what is a pronoun? We is an adverb. Write is an adjective. Is a pronoun. Not is an adverb. Babble is a verb. So, yeah, it is babble. It is the restoration of remembrance, lawful standing, and spiritual clarity. I mean, you can look at it that way, but in the context of the domain of fact, it's a fictitious conveyance of grammar. It's babble. We walk different paths, that's for sure. But if both seek truth, they need not be at war. Henry Ivan Thomas Milne. So now they use a punctuated name. And so my kuleana to that was, thank you for your kind words. Of course there is no war. I'm not sure why you would mention that term. Whatever you choose to call the words you use, they are still adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble, in the manner that you present them. That's all I'm saying with grace. You may punctuate your name, but that's not proof of correct sentence structure, knowledge, cognition. This is a channel of correct grammar, not personal spiritual dogma. Please read the community guidelines and honor this domain. Thanks again for sharing. So I can tell this individual's volition is not a harmful one. It's not a malicious one, from my perception. However, they still have not read the community guidelines, and they're still basically peddling whatever their belief system is, whatever you want to call it, their path. They're still peddling it on my channel, which is a violation of the terms and conditions, and they continue to do so. So then they say, understood, Jason. Thank you for your clarity and for maintaining the integrity of your channel. If they'd have just stopped there, everything would have been fine. I could see that they are with the humility, with the honor and grace, and they aren't trying to push anything like that. Okay? If they'd have just stopped there, but they don't. They continue on. While we walk different structures, I honor your consistency. I also affirm that not all lawful cognition must express itself through correct sentence structure alone. I've never said that. I've never said anyone must do anything. What I teach here is correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. You can choose to use it, you can choose to learn it, or not. You obviously, Mad Dog, have chosen not to learn it because you don't know it. And from all your comments here, it's very apparent that you don't know it. And you don't know the psychology behind it. Really don't know the first thing about it. This is a technology that I'm teaching here. What you're doing, from my perception, is something that you came up with. Because there's proof of what I'm saying. I have over 1,000 videos on this channel, Mad Dog, as proof of what I teach, what I know, what I claim. You don't have any of that I'm aware of. You haven't left a link. You haven't shown me a website. You haven't shown me a document. You haven't shown anything to prove anything that you're saying. Not your codex, not your postmaster generalship, none of that. There's no proof of anything you're saying. So that's why I'm treating it like this. This is part of the psychology of correct sentence structure. You have to have proof of what you're saying. You must be able to certify what you're saying to another contract party if you're trying to contract with them. Otherwise, there's going to be no contract, which there isn't, because there's no proof of what you're saying. Not only that, but it is a violation of this channel's community guidelines, which you continue to do, commenting under a grammar video. I can't stress that enough. It's like reading the room and understanding context, basically. It'd be like me going onto someone else's channel who's talking about fixing an engine on a car, and I start talking about correct sentence structure out of nowhere. It's the same thing. Like, why would I do that? There are living systems older than English, older than PARSE syntax, that carry truth without needing to pass through the gates of adverb-verb adjudication. Scrolls like mine do not seek approval within your domain. Then why are you here? Why did you even share that? And what scroll? I haven't seen any scrolls. And what you're saying about living systems, again, no proof. No proof of that. Nor do they challenge your right to hold it. Rights come from an authority. I don't participate with the concept of rights. Rights can be given and taken away. A chicken has a right to eat. A fox has a right to eat. That's enough said about rights. I mean, come on. It's, my intent was not to preach, convert, or violate any guideline, only to share a living scroll for remembrance. Now that is not true. I'm not going to outright call this individual a liar. But if their intent was not to preach, convert, or violate any guideline, then why did they comment what they commented? Because they did violate guidelines. And if they weren't trying to convert or preach, then why did they say what they said? Why would they even bring that up? No one on this channel, prior to them commenting, knew anything about what they were saying. And quite frankly, after they commented, I'm sure most people still don't know what they're saying. I know I don't. So that's not true what they said just there. May your syntax serve you well. And there you have it. And now I'm going to wrap this up in a nice little bow for all you folks out there, including Henry-Thompson, Milne. In the domain of correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. If you're going to make a document, contract, postal, vessel, court, venue, right? Something that looks sort of like that. You have to have closure on your facts. You have to have a dictionary written in a specific way, mathematically certified, forwards and backwards. Just like a math problem. 1 plus 2 equals 3, 3 minus 2 equals 1. For the facts, of the facts, are, with the facts, of the facts, with the facts, by the facts. It's that simple. Henry, although he was writing an adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble, decided to put his punctuated name in there. But you see, in the domain of correct sentence structure, just because you do that with your name doesn't mean that you have closure on the grammar. They obviously don't. And they went on and on making claims about this, that, or the third, about living systems, living accords, everything's living, right? Well, here's the thing. We have to have closure and come to a concordance, joinder, on the meanings of these words if we're going to contract. That's the whole point of correct sentence structure, is getting closure, having closure, sharing closure, and then having a joinder. If you're going to ascribe the word living, or in correct sentence structure, we would say live, L-I-V-E, or life hyphen force. If you're going to assign that to an accord, or a system, or a desk, or a piece of paper, or a mouse, or a cup, say this is the living cup. We're in la fiction land. We're in the land of Narnia. You can say whatever you want and think whatever you want, but in the domain of fact, that doesn't work. But a cup is not alive. Even if you want to imagine that it is, if you want to imagine that you're a lion, L-I-O-N, of Alba, use your imagination. As SpongeBob says, imagination. Well, that's fine. That's up to you. You can do that. And if you get people to believe that, well, then you can do that too, and they'll believe it. And they'll support you. Just like if someone says they're commander-in-chief, and you get people to buy into that shit, then okay, fine, cool. Bully for you. But in the domain of fact, it doesn't work like that. You got to have proof. You got to show me. I know what a lion is, and I'm looking at Henry. Henry doesn't look like a lion. You see what I'm saying, folks? So that's the gist of this psychology video. You got to have proof of your facts, especially if you're going to come here and comment on a grammar video. It shows, to me, from my perception and my viewpoint and my vantage point, it shows an extreme lack of consideration, an extreme lack of reading context of anything. Like I said, it would be like me walking into a garage where people are working on, engines, changing spark plugs, changing oil, cleaning carburetors, and I just walk in and start talking about correct sentence structure. Out of nowhere, for no reason, like apropos of nothing. Have some consideration, that's all I ask. I hope that Mad Dog doesn't take this too hard. I hope they don't take it personal. It's not meant personal. It's just meant as a lesson. And number one, please read the terms and conditions, the community guidelines before commenting. And number two, if you're going to make claims here in my domain, you better be able to back it up with proof. Otherwise, it's just opinion. And in the future, I probably will not be publishing comments like this individual's. Most times I don't. Just because it violates the community guidelines. But I thought this would be a good lesson, good sharing of correct sentence structure psychology, and I hadn't done a Psyche video in a while, so hope you enjoyed it. Que sera, sera.